But for those who are kind of nervous about that idea, right? Nervous about the idea of it going to 15.5 cents before anything really occurs, we'll look into the past and see what happened at that moment. What did that significant moment in time represent? Going, gone. Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is the Blockchain Backer bringing you the latest cryptocurrency news and analysis. And today we're going to take a look at the XRP price chart and we're going to look at the different scenarios on creating this bottoming structure so we can start our new bull run. We're going to take a look at what would it look like if the price broke out to the upside, what would it do if we continue to range in this area, and if we broke back down to the downside, how low could we expect this to go? So without further ado, let's dive right in. Right now, we are still hovering up against this 200 moving average on the 4-hour time chart. We're still trying to break out to the upside. So if we broke out to the upside, really the sky is the limit right now because we've done so much correcting. We've reached from a time perspective, this market has corrected as long as it did in 2015, 16, and 17. So enough time has elapsed for us to continue and start a new bull run. If that starts to be the case, then I'll start creating videos back to looking at what are the upside targets. But right now, we just need to kind of get through one thing at a time, right? And right now, this is still our major area is all of this stuff. And then when we come back here a little bit further, we still need to clear all of this. So to the upside, there's still a long ways to go in regards to clearing through a lot of things and saying, hey, we actually are on a bull run. And still, we go back to where we were before we started breaking down here. We still have to clear this whole zone up here before we start onto a big bull run. But right now, let's go ahead and take a look at it and say, well, what would happen if this thing actually doesn't break through this 200 moving average on the 4-hour time chart? What would happen if we went to the downside, and where could we expect to go? There's a couple of different things we can do. At least that's what I'm doing. I'm not a believer in this whole 6 cent, 8 cent XRP. I don't think it's going to happen. I look at the chart and I say, hey, if that ended up happening, this chart would be so broken. I don't see any reason why that would happen. Either this is a collapsing market if it goes down to that low, or we're going to at least hold the lows that we have right now. So I'm still in full belief that we are going to hold these lows. If we break down below them significantly, like if we go below 10 cents, I would believe that there's some big problems going on here. But again, I don't think that's going to happen. And we could even check out different types of bearish formations that we see right here and try to do measured moves on them. And still, even with these bearish formations and measuring out the moves of how deep they would go, it still doesn't set new lows. It would just be a double bottom structure. So one thing I've been doing is going back into the past and seeing how did this market end last time and start its new bull run. So let's kind of zoom in a little bit closer on it and see this is where the bull run occurred, and this was the bottoming formation down here. Do we see anything similar going on right now? Now, this structure was a little bit tricky, and it had people thinking the same thing, that this was a bear flag. And you could do it kind of like this and see, hey, there was a bear flag. So the question comes, do we have anything similar to that going on right now? So here on the left side of the screen, I have current XRP price and the price structure that we have right now. And on the right side of the screen, I have what happened right before we went on the bull run back in 2017. And I do see similarities to this. I see how we broke down in here, tapped it, came down to the bottom, up to the top, hit the top again, and then kind of came out and hovered. So right here, hit it, down, touched it twice, and then kind of hovered out here in the middle, came down and touched the bottom side of it once again, which would be right down here. So we have this gap area down here that we've talked about in a couple of videos right in here. So if it broke to the downside, I could see it hitting down here, and that would still kind of look exactly like what we've seen in the past. Then once again, we get another shakeout, people expecting new lows, comes right back up to here and then hovers again. So this would be an additional shakeout kind of move. But let's go back to single screen and we'll take that off there, and let's assume that none of that is true. Okay, let's assume that this is nothing but a bear flag that is going to break to the downside. Okay, so this is just a bear and we've got to go to the downside. right? So how would we figure out how far down this thing would go if it is going to break to the downside as a bear flag? Well, we would look back and we'd say, okay, well, where do we see that this breakdown started at? And the really big breakdown of this market occurred approximately here, right? So we double tapped here, came up, found support, and then this was where the breakdown moment occurred right here. So we take this and we measure the distance of this move to the top of the bear pennant, and then we can measure how deep this would go from the breakdown of the pennant. And in this circumstance, in this bearish move, we still would not set new lows. That would take you down to 12 cents. One could also argue that it doesn't actually start there, and it actually starts right here. And that this breakdown right here was the back test of the breakdown, and we actually would measure it from right here. And in this circumstance, it would just take you down to 13.5 cents. So either way, no matter what kind of bearish scenario you want to point to, none of them take you to new lows. Now, no matter how many times I say this, that I'm not a financial advisor and this is not investment advice, people are looking at my information to make trades, and you shouldn't be. Like I tell you all the time, I'm an accumulator and I buy and hold because I'm holding for the big cycle. Very clear about that. I am here for the big cycle, and that's all I'm here for. I am not here to make 10% there, 15% there, 20% there, and create a new bag. I am here to accumulate dips and hold on for dear life to go for the big ride. So if we do get some more dips in there, I'll probably start scrounging up some stuff to sell on eBay just to get a couple more buys in at those prices. What you'll have to notice is that if that does happen, you will see further extreme fear in this market. Instead of people thinking of it as a buying opportunity, the new narrative will once again become, we're breaking down to new lows, this market's collapsing, it's game over, we're all going to cry. It's not going to be, let's buy it, yay, let's go. It's going to be, I'm scared. So you have to already have your mind right before things happen. Because again, what if the alternative happens? What if this thing actually does break out from here and it just starts going and going and going? Then what? What are you doing if you're a trader? I don't know what you're going to do. I think what will end up happening is you'll end up buying back at a higher price. So I'm not playing the trading game down here. And when enough time has passed in this market, just like it did in 2015, 16, and 17, and we're just so deep down into oversold levels with so much fear in this market, and we're making a very similar structure to this, I'm going to bet if this thing does break to the downside that it wouldn't get as deep as we think. I think this would be the similar structure, and we'd see something around 15.5 cents if it did go down, which is the area we've been talking about, that one right there, 15.5. But for those who are kind of nervous about that idea, right? Nervous about the idea of it going to 15.5 cents before anything really occurs, we'll look into the past and see what happened at that moment. What did that significant moment in time represent? Going, gone. So looking down here at these moving averages and how tight they're getting, I still think we have to have a decision made fairly soon. How many bars are left? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's still less than 24 hours left before this thing kind of closes itself off. And usually we get a bigger move before that ever happens. So yesterday I said it'd be what, about 36 hours before we get a decision. I still think from me talking right now, there's about 15 hours left in that amount of time frame. That'd give us, 3 or 4 more bars in there. It still seems likely that we should see some type of a decision. Maybe we'll get that before the weekly candle closes or right after the candle closes. Seems like that would be a logical time for something to happen. So for me, no matter which way it breaks, it's actually going to be exciting, right? We break up to the upside. Hey, great. Okay, here we go. We break down to the downside and we're looking here, crossing our fingers, praying this one is the one that holds because that represented where it all began in 2017 when it started just rocket shipping to the sky. That moment right there represented the exact time where it all began. So either way, let's just get it done and let's get this rocket ship on its way. So, all right, guys, that's going to be it. I had quite a few people asking me, what is the bearish alternative? What is the other thing besides going up? So I thought I'd give you my thoughts on what I'm looking at in regards to ranging. So it's kind of a range structure. Still not setting new lows, in my opinion. I really don't think it's going to happen. Even when we put out the bearish measurements on bear flags, bear pennants, measured moves, they still don't take us to new lows. So, okay, you guys can follow me over here on Twitter at BCBacker. But I want to thank you all so much for watching. Please like this video and give it a thumbs up. It does mean the absolute world to me. Please subscribe to my channel. That way you can be notified of when I create new content and when I go live. As always, this is not investment advice and I am not a financial advisor. But if you ever need to pick me up or a little bit of reassurance, just remember that the blockchain backers got your back. Have a good one.